What's up, guys? We are
Good
live.
evening, fellas. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Yeah, we got Poppy and we got Life on 18 Wheels. So tonight's going to be a little different. We're going to be taking your guys' comments and doing our best to try to have a live show because we don't really have anything to talk about, which is not a bad thing. But we've all had pretty good weeks. I'm just turning on the chat here. Jonah Green, good evening. How are you? Hey, Country. Country said, hey, hey. We're leaving the show up to you guys. So tell us about your week, Daviel. Anything
Uh,
good?
Nothing in particular. I just ran one whole load for the week. But
Well,
it's gonna be it's not gonna be a pretty good week for next week pay, but it is what it is. Just part of the game. There's the ups, there's the downs. Can't always expect it to be always up, you know.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. What about you, Poppy? How was your week?
well, well, it looked real good. And about 2 hours before I was supposed to pick up in Jonesboro today, going to Orlando, they canceled the load, so I lost my whole week and had to start over.
Ooh,
But I'm getting better about not panicking and getting upset, worked up, and so I paused my brain and I ate some lunch, cooked a meal, and I made a phone call and I rebooked my week. And so if it comes off as laid out, I got $400 more for the week and 300 miles less driving. So I came out to the good if it goes off.
okay.
So
It's not too bad. My week wasn't too ungodly bad, other than Jonesboro, like you. Went there Tuesday. It was supposed to be a Tuesday load, and for some reason I got the notification, but I just missed it, and the load was pushed until Friday, as you know, and that kind of changed up things a little bit. We had to get on the load board and
hmm
find some new stuff, and still going to turn out to be a good week. My only thing is this week is just time. I got to make sure because I was just looking at it. I got about 2,400 miles that I've got to drive up until Sunday, which is a lot of miles. I mean, it's basically 600 miles a day in order to make this work. It can be done, but it's 600 miles a day. It's not quite 2,400, but it's 23 something. It can be done.
yeah. Well,
We got
this market makes you do things you don't want to do.
right.
Yeah, sure
Yeah.
does. Like me going to Washington next week. Never
Are you
been,
going to
never.
Washington?
I'm going to Washington next week. Yeah,
Buddy, I got to tell you, that's one of the 4 or 5 states that I've never been to. I've been everywhere but
it's what I've
Washington.
never been. I've never been, and I'm going to make it a one-time thing, and just well, I won't go back. But I
Oh,
just had a load that was just paying because everything else around me was pure trash, and that was my only option there. And I was like, you know what,
yeah, you need
I'll
to
go
you
ahead
need
and
to you
try
need to go to Washington in December is what you need to do.
it. No, thank you.
Yeah, no way. Absolutely, man. I've never been to Washington. I've never been to Washington. Let's see, where else haven't I been? Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, of course, Alaska, Hawaii, obviously. I believe that's it, if I'm not
when
mistaken.
we love, when we love to deliver a load in Hawaii.
Oh, I'd love to
Hmm.
deliver a load in Hawaii and Alaska, both.
Washington and Oregon is the
Excuse me.
only two states I've not been in, and I may die not going to them just because I don't want to go. I don't want to go there as a truck driver,
hmm
and I don't
The
know if
only
I would
the
get
only
there
other
for
one I
any other
haven't been
reason.
to is also Oregon, and yeah, as a truck driver, I wouldn't want to go to Oregon. Just the fuel tax and the road tax is just it's
You know,
just
it's
not.
funny. It's funny we're
Yeah,
talking about Oregon, but do you know that when you go to Oregon, you can't pump your own gas? I'm talking about for a car. Um, Now trucks are a little different. And I remember when I was in Oregon, they asked you some stupid question. I don't remember what it was. When you fill up at the pump, there's one extra step that you have to do. Again, I don't go there that often, but anytime you fill up in Oregon, and like you said, the taxes are crazy. The IPTA taxes are crazy there. And it's so sad because Oregon is such a pretty state, and it's run by a certain political party that we don't want to discuss about politics. And but you know, it is what it is. But Oregon's gorgeous. I can only imagine Washington State too.
While we're talking about taxes, I just got a rant.
Okay.
So I came through the great, wonderful state of Indiana early this morning.
Yeah.
And the further I drove, the madder I got. They ought to round every politician up in that state and execute them, because whatever, all this high dollar taxes, road taxes we pay, they sure as crap are not spending that money on the roads. Have y'all rode across 70 lately from Ohio?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, not too long ago.
God in heaven.
Ever since I've been OTR, 4 or 5 years now, that road, I swear it's a constant construction just going on, and nothing seems to look new or brand new or anything fixed on 70 at all.
Be careful what you guys say about Indiana, man. That's my home state.
Well, you better have a talk with somebody, because
we're going to speak our mind. All right, we're going to speak our mind about this.
I was running 55 in the left lane, which was better than the right lane, but there's no earthly way you could run the speed limit in the right lane in a tractor and trailer. You would have no suspension left after about 3 miles.
Well, I know other states are worse than that.
As soon as you get into Ohio, you need to go ahead and get under that truck and double check, make sure every nut and bolt is not loose anymore.
Does that look any better?
It's all right.
It's all right. Okay. We see you.
Well, like I said, next week we won't have that big old live with StreamYard logo up there. I'll get that taken away. I feel like it's blocking the view a little bit.
It's blocking your head.
Yeah, it's blocking me, but that's okay. I know you can move them around, but I don't want to take the time to do it.
I get you.
So let's see which comments we got here. Techno got on here, and I know who Techno is. That's James. Hello, have you guys seen a decrease in freight in the last week or two with the stock market going way down? Honestly, no. I mean, I don't think that really affected us at all, did it? Did it you? Chris? I mean,
we basically, that's not a fair question for me and you. It might be for 18.
Right.
We run one customer basically, so no, we have not.
For me, it's more of my fault. I booked my loads the way that I booked my loads, so I can't really necessarily blame it on the market. Even though we already have a trash market, that's just the way that I booked my last couple of loads for the last couple of days. It's just on me. So, yeah.
We're not dedicated. I got 4 trucks running what I run, and we're not dedicated, but we mainly run one customer. So what we run is year round, and it don't ever slow down, and we're just lucky about that, you know.
Yeah.
We're just lucky.
So Bryant71 said, "Welcome to Indiana on 70, Chris."
Yeah, no kidding. Well, hopefully I don't run up there anymore. Although one of our best lanes is up there in Indianapolis, so I'm sure I'll be running it again. But it pays enough to justify the fuel taxes. It doesn't pay enough to rebuild the front end about once a month.
Right.
We'll probably have to just slow down next time we have to go across there and just get in the right lane, drive about 20 miles an hour, I guess.
Listen, I think they deliberately have the road set up that way just for us not to fly across that state.
Probably so. That's why they got 2 speed limits through partial.
Yeah, because
and you got to get 2 new steer tires too. You said too, so.
Yeah, I do. I've got that on the list for this weekend. We got to have the front end line. You know, I've had this truck now 16 months. This will be the 4th time I've had to line the front end in it. And there's nothing wrong with it other than just there's craters in the roads that I drive big enough to bury a D9 dozer in. So, I mean, you can't keep a truck in alignment with that, you know.
Speaking of alignments, are you just getting
Hello? Did you guys freeze up?
Yeah, I think 18 did.
All right. How much is that alignment going to cost you?
Well,
Just the alignment.
the first 3 times I did a 3-axle alignment, and the reason I
Yeah.
did was because when these Freightliners, I can't speak to every brand, but when these Freightliners come out of the factory, they're not in alignment. You have to take them and have them aligned, and it took me 3 tries to get somebody to know what they was doing. So I did a 3-axle alignment every time, and that's about $300. This time I don't need the rears are still good. I just need to do the front end, and I think it's about $160 to do the front end.
Okay. Good deal. So Brian 71 said 69 isn't much better. I live up around it, Fort Wayne. It's all a damn joke, buddy. I couldn't disagree with you. Where's that? Frankfort, Indiana. We go up 69 past
No,
Indianapolis.
that's off 65. I was in Ashley, Indiana. I done forgot who you was talking to on the comments, but I dropped in Ashley, Indiana yesterday morning, so I know I just ran 69. It wasn't that bad to me compared to a lot of places we go.
Don't we got a Frito-Lay facility up there? Is it Whitestown that's up there, maybe?
Whitestown and Frankfort's both right there just north of Indianapolis off of 65.
Okay, I was thinking one of them was. I did something up off 69. I just don't remember what it was.
That was what did I drop up? Oh, I dropped at Family Dollar, Dollar Tree up there at Ashley, Indiana. That's where I dropped.
Well, I know you're getting all that work done on your truck, so I'm getting some stuff done on mine too. I'm going to end up getting my logos and decals and everything put on. Shout out to Stripes and Stuff. They're the company that does all the prime trucks. I've talked to a gentleman there, and gonna have that done here sometime next week. And by tomorrow or Friday, I should have some drawings that I could possibly put up on the community channel and kind of get everybody's opinion. But gonna change stuff up from what the last design was. Not a lot, but a little bit. I'm excited about it. I'm like you.
Good work.
They do good work, and also with my next oil change, which is coming up, I'm gonna have Centromatics put on my wheels too that you talked me into. So
yeah, that's definitely a lifesaver there. I'm gonna do when I get the next new truck, I'm gonna let Stripes do mine.
Yeah.
We're already 2 years into this one, so I don't want to put any more money in this one. I mean, I'm putting $3,800 in 8 batteries this weekend, so. Time I do the alignment and steer tires, I'll be up well over $5,000. So I'm not going to put the deer guard on. I'm not going to put the stripes on. But when we trade trucks, that's definitely going to be 2 things I do. Put the deer guard on the front, and I'm going to put the stripes on it.
So you're
I'm
not
still undecided about that.
Do what, 18?
You said you're not planning on keeping that truck when your lease is
God,
up?
no, because with this. When I got in it, I had a plan to keep it, and then the economy being what it is, I've had to run way more miles than what I wanted to run. This truck is 2 years old. It lacks, let's see, 16 and 6 is 22. It's 2 months shy of 2 years, and I've got 270,000 on it already. So that's
you've been rocking that one out, that's for sure.
yeah, about 4,000 a week, 3,500.
So Country's asking what is he spelled it wrong. Centromatics is basically they're like wheel balancers, aren't they, Chris?
Yeah, they go behind the wheel, and they're about 260 an axle. And what they are, they look like a metal frisbee, but they've got a rim, like a round ring around the outside of them, and it's full of some kind of synthetic oil, and it has like metal beads in it. And so that balance, what I like about them, and I've tried the balancing beads in the tires, I've tried the weights on the wheels, that don't work at all. The Centromatics, what I like about that, it doesn't just balance the tire or the wheel, it balances the whole assembly. It's balancing the hub, it's balancing everything. And also, what's great about it is when they balance a tire on a machine, it doesn't work in theory to begin with because the wheel's not on the ground with weight on it. So they balance it for no weight, and it's perfectly round. And then when you put it on the ground, everybody already knows there's a flat spot on the bottom of it. So the weights are no longer accurate anyway. So the Centromatics is great. And I'll tell you this, and I've proved this. Danny Herman, I don't know if anybody's heard of him or not, but he used to have about 500 trucks. I don't know how many he's got now. He runs out of Mountain City, Tennessee. Danny Herman started putting them on all his trucks, and he swore up and down that he got twice the mileage out of all his tires. And I tried it, and I believe he's right. I've got 270,000 on my drives, and they're probably going to go, if I don't have any damage, they're probably going to go 400,000 on the drives, which is just nuts. That's just stupid. And they're Goodyears too. And by the way, I'm not a Goodyear fan. They came on this truck. I wouldn't put Goodyears on a lawnmower, but I got to give it to them Centromatics, and I give all the credit to the Centromatics, because you don't get 400,000 miles on a stinking set of drives, guys. I'm sorry. Most people I know is happy if they get 200,000. I mean,
Right. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. I would be more than happy if I got anything over 300,000 on a set
James,
of tires.
I'd be welcome to. You'd be welcome. I'll take pictures of my drives. If you know how to do it, you put them up on YouTube so people can see them. I don't want them to think I'm blowing smoke up them. But I don't get a dime from Centromatics or Goodyear, none of them. I'm just calling balls and strikes. I'm telling you right now, I've got 270,000 miles on this set of drives, and if you looked at them right now, I'd say they're 50%. I'd say they're
Well,
50%.
You convinced me when you told me that Schneider gave you that big discount on them Goodyear tires. So my thing is if you're going to get that kind of mileage out of Goodyears and they're going to give you that big of a discount, why would you put any other tire on there other than Goodyear,
because
honestly?
through Snyder I can get discounts on everything, and I like for drives myself, and I got this from TMC. I like the Bridgestone drives, and I like the Michelin steers. That's just opinion, you know.
Right. I got you. Believe it or not, that's, if I remember correctly, that's how the truck that I had at Christensen was. It had the Michelin steers and the Bridgestone drives.
Yeah, I think they're like 713s or something is the model on them, those drives that everybody's running. I like those a lot. I don't like the ride of a Goodyear. And I had a guy that owned a tire shop kind of explain this to me, but it went over my head because, I'm not an engineer and I'm not a mechanic. But he said Goodyear uses like soft material and hard material, and they mix it together. And so what the tires do is they give you like little warts, and it's not like big bulges, but the tire just don't ride smooth on the road. They just don't ride smooth. Bridgestone or Michelin, either one will outride them 10-1. So.
All right. Good deal, man. There's no comments that are new. My wife says hello. I told her hello back. So everybody, as we said before, Life on 18 Wheels, check his channel out. He's got an awesome channel. He does a lot of do-it-yourself stuff in there. I think he's replaced his shocks on one of the older trucks that he had with Swift, and he hadn't had to do any work on the new truck yet. So he's put out some new videos.
Remind me what he's riding again. Is he in a Freightliner?
Yeah, sure am. Wouldn't drive anything
he's in a Freightliner.
Yeah. I had a $320 service call Monday. Went to leave the dock, had the APU or the EPU running, and the truck wouldn't crank. So that's the only, I guess you could call that a breakdown. I had to call Love's 12 miles out there to jump me off because it's time to change those batteries. But other than that, I've not had any trouble. Now, I'm jealous of James 18 because him and Mike is absolutely eating our lunch on fuel mileage. I mean, we're all running 70, 74 mile an hour. I'm struggling to hold 8, and they're getting 9.5, 10 miles to gallon.
Well, that Cummins is a pretty good engine. Other than the fact that they're driving internationals, the only good thing is that they got that Cummins. So you can't blame them. It's known to have good the Cummins, the X15. It's known to have good fuel economy. The DD15 as well. If you stay off the pedal, And
Oh
to be
yeah.
honest, I have a lead foot, so it's I've been trying to train myself for the last 4 or 5 years to ease off the pedal, try to use cruise control, try all different types of method, but
If I slow
I like the
down,
Freightliner because it'll last you. It's not gonna cost you as much to replace parts, and it'll just go.
if I slow down to 62 miles an hour, 18, I don't know about you, but
I'm not going 62.
I can get about 9 miles to the gallon, but I'm not running 62. I mean,
I'm not going 62.
yeah, I'm
Sorry,
not
man.
running 62.
And the thing about it is, I do long distance. Usually the loads that I usually take are long distance. It's not necessarily a next day delivery or
Mm-hmm. 2
type
day.
of thing. So it's not like I'm just cruising. Like I get bored looking out my window because I've seen America 100 times already. It's nothing really new for me. So it's not like I'm just gonna sit here just daisy gazing outside the window. I just try to get to my next the way that the way my math works in my head is I can get to my place as soon as possible, safely, not speeding, and just shut it down. And when I'm most of the time, like I said, this EPU is amazing, so I'm not burning fuel while I'm sitting. Even right now, I have it running, not burning any fuel. So the quicker I can get to where I need to get set up for my next delivery, the less fuel I feel like I'm burning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, either way, I feel like it equals out eventually, versus me just spending an extra day going 60 miles an hour versus me doing 68, 70 when I'm done for the day. I'm not idling all night. I'm not getting up in the middle of the night, turn the truck on. This thing literally just lasts all night, even up until the next day, almost by noon. I won't have to turn the truck back on to recharge the battery. So I'm not burning fuel when I'm sitting. So I just
Yeah,
factor all that in.
mine did that when the batteries was new, and then as batteries get older, you'll find it cranks quicker. That's how you'll know your batteries are going.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you something you may or may not know about these AGM batteries. If you ever
They're not
drain
cheap.
them one time, well, they're not cheap, but they're over about 400 a piece. But if you drain them, you ruin them. And I did that. And I'll tell you what I did. And if you've not done this, don't do it. Um, you got to turn your key to the first notch and then set the optimized idle or the EPU so that the truck will crank when the batteries get low. I
Mm-hmm.
got home on the weekend and it was in the winter time, and I was going to leave the EPU running all weekend to keep everything warm and to make leave the fridge running, not unload it and all that because I was only going to be home for 48 hours. And I turned the key to the front notch, but I didn't push OK on the steering wheel. And so
Oh,
I was gone all weekend, and it drained the batteries all the way down, and I had to jump it off when I came back out. And that they tell me that will one time that will slash your battery life in half on an AGM battery.
See, our
So
trucks are completely different than that. Just to let you know,
I,
ours, you take the key out completely, and you just push the button on the dash, and that's what turns the EPU on. You
yeah,
don't even have to
well,
have the key in the position at all.
yeah, you
well,
have to
with
have
my
our
truck
key on.
with the EPU is I take the key out, I press the button on the back of the bunk, and then if I'm in it, the EPU is running. If I'm not in the truck, I'm not running the EPU. The only thing that I have that's draining the battery is my refrigerator, and that'll last me quite a while. It'll last me longer than my 34 if I'm going home or if I'm not in the
Well,
truck for the weekend or not. So I don't
maybe I'm
use
doing it wrong.
I don't use optimized idle on the truck. Never used it since I got the truck. I just if I'm not in the truck, it's not on. I don't turn the EPU on. The only thing that's drawing battery is the refrigerator. That's it, and
So
that's barely getting.
what I do is this is all I do. So I shut the truck off. I turn the key to the first notch. I go to
Mm-hmm.
optimize idle, and I tell it no on climate control because I'm not using the main engine
Just
heat and
battery
air,
power.
battery power only, and that's how I
Uh
leave
huh.
it. Okay, and then I go back there and I turn the air conditioner on and all that stuff. So what you're telling me is my AC in the bunk and everything will work without the key on? Because I don't think mine will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the key in the ignition. It's in the off position. My EPU's on. It's running just fine.
That's the way ours is.
Only, yeah, I don't use, like I said, I don't use Opti Idle because I don't trust Opti Idle. With the past Freightliners that I've had, it'll kick on 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night for no apparent reason whatsoever, and it won't shut off for hours. And I feel
It'll
like it
run
burns
2
a lot.
hours.
Yeah, I feel it burns too much fuel for my liking, so I just don't ever use it. Yeah, my truck is newer, so I do have fresher batteries, so I'm not really worrying about draining them because, like I said, the only thing I literally turn everything off. Everything's on a switch. I turn it all off except for the refrigerator. The refrigerator is the only thing that's not on a switch, so it always has constant power to it.
So we got some comments here, and I'll get to those in just a second. But I wanted to give kudos to you and your channel because you did give me kudos on your channel in your last video, and that's one thing that I want to say because you said basically in so many words, you said if it wasn't for me, you would have never got an SFI truck and you would have never left Swift. And I agree with you. It really got to the point where I was, you know, I didn't want to say I was forced to do it, but this is something that I wanted to do. But let's get to these comments here, and I wanted to get to that. So Jermaine McDonald, you remember Jermaine, don't you, Chris? He said, he just got his truck in May, and he thinks he might have a battery issue too because throughout the night it'll turn on like 4 to 5 times. And big highway trucker. So hang on a second, guys. Everybody honking about out here. So big highway trucker says, yeah, if I click on the switch in my Volvo, it'll crank while I'm at home time for my fridge. No key needed. And Country said, even on his Freightliner, I don't use Opti Idle. I turn the truck off. I use my EPU and my sleep apnea machine throughout the night. Battery lasts like that for at least 12 hours before I'll shut down the amenities. So with my truck, and I'm pretty sure yours is probably going to be the same way, every night at about 8 hours is when it'll fire up. And that's because it's a little bit warmer. If it was, cooler than what it is, I could probably go the whole 10-hour break and the truck not fire up. But after about 7 or 8 hours, it'll fire up.
Well, y'all just gonna have to bear with me because I'm gonna shut mine off and I'm gonna go back here and see if mine will run because I don't think mine will run without the key on.
So Bryant71 also said N14 Red Top Select Plus is my favorite engine.
Right there. That's an old school engine right there.
I'm not familiar with that. Was that an old Cummins motor, N14?
Yep.
Has to be with it being a red top. Huh. Interesting. That must be an old school engine.
I think that's also, if I'm not wrong, that's a mechanical engine as well too. Let me quick Google.
I'm not as versed with the diesel engines as much as I am with the gasoline engines. I'm getting, kind of book smart on them here recently, studying them.
Okay, so do you guys have to push the button on the temperature control knob to turn the EPU on?
Yeah, I just pushed the button and I just turned the fan all the way up. And
okay, so mine did work. So maybe me leaving that key on the optimized idle on the first notch all the time, maybe that was draining my batteries. I don't know.
It might go. I'm telling you, it might go the whole night without you having to crank the truck up in the middle of the night or anything like that. Like I said, I don't use Opti Idle. I haven't used it in a while. Even at Swift, I barely ever used it. Unless it was like the only time I ever used it when I went on home time just to keep my battery.
So I was using both together, and that might be a bad thing. If anybody knows, let us know.
That might be why you're draining your batteries out because you're using both systems. Country said yes, push it for like 3 seconds. Bryant 071 said yep, the Cummins things are bulletproof, and yes, it's a mechanical engine. Hig Highway Trucker says, yeah, turning the key will drain it. So there you go. He just said that turning the key will drain your batteries
Okay,
down.
well, that was a $3,800 lesson. So what we're going to do is,
at least you're comical about it. $3,800 lesson, man.
so what we're going to do is put new batteries in it this weekend, because here's the way you look. Here's the way you can look at that, guys. I'll teach you about life. I can jump up and down and scream and holler and fuss and cuss because I got to spend $3,800, or I can be thankful that I make enough money that I got the $3,800 to spend, and it ain't gonna hurt me. So I'll put new batteries on it, and we'll relearn, because they don't teach you how to use this garbage, And at Swift, James, on the Freightliners, we didn't have EPUs; we had optimized idle. And so when I was getting in this truck, I was like, oh, well, this is how you make the truck start. So what you guys are telling me is this truck will crank. If that EPU's running, this truck will crank without the key in it or anything. Right?
No, I don't think the truck will crank without the key. It's just that I think the batteries for the EPU is a separate electrical system that you can just turn on from the back of your bunk.
So your truck does start up without the keys when you push the not the opti idle, but the automatic start stop, right? Because ours does.
No, you can't do anything without turn. You have to have the key in accessory mode in order to do all that stuff. Well,
not the international.
What I'm saying is that we can run the AC in the back of the bunk without having the keys in the ignition.
Well, shit, that's going to drain your batteries down too if you don't. If your truck's not going to fire up.
Well, it does. Well, it will drain your battery, but from what I've been experiencing is that it's not a big deal. Like it's not like I'll go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and I'll still have like 12.5 on the voltmeter.
Okay, so help me out, 18. So let's say that you sat there until it got down to 12.0. What's going to happen at that point? Is your bunk AC going to quit just working, but the truck don't start, or is the truck going to crank?
I've had it not start. It's not going to crank. The no key, no accessory on. Truck's not going to crank. The AC will turn off. If it gets too low, it'll turn off. All your accessory powers that are powered on is going to turn off. If it keeps going lower, you don't change anything, it'll start. The alarm will start going off. At that point, you just go ahead and turn the truck back on. That's how I've done it. But I don't. But again, I don't use opti idle, and if I do, I have to crank the truck. Say if I'm on the 34 and my batteries are ran low, crank it up for a half an hour, and I'm good to go for another 10 hours.
All right, so Country wanted me to read this. You have to realize that when the key on and opti idle is on, that all the truck systems are actually on, which drains the battery faster, and the opti will kick in multiple times a night because of that. So I appreciate that comment.
Yeah,
and also, Jermaine said he's going to have to test that too. And at Country says at 12.0, the truck amenities get turned off.
That's correct
too. Hig Highway Trucker said, no, your inverter will shut off.
Yeah, that's correct too. All that's correct.
Well, the inverter doesn't shut off. What happens is that the inverter alarm is going to go off first. And if you don't take care of that right away, then it'll shut itself off.
Yeah, or if you're like me and you sleep through the alarm, it'll shut off.
You're going to hear that. I don't think you can sleep through that one.
Listen.
If you have, man.
Hey, 18. There's 3 fans running in this truck wide open and a noise machine, by the way. Yeah, it's loud in my truck. It sounds like a Category 5 hurricane's coming through, because I don't want to hear no stinking reefers running beside me. Yeah, I don't want no reefer beside me waking me up.
Country, if you want to come on, I'm sending you a link if you want to come on.
My wife gets aggravated. I go home and try to plug that noise machine. She's like, do you really have to have that? Because that's really annoying.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever deal with that, man. Mm-mm.
Well, I'll tell you this funny little story while James is reading. So we went to see my grandbabies, and I was tired. I'm always tired. And so my little grandson, he's 2, he's taking a nap. So I said, "Can Poppy take a nap with you?" Yeah. So I go in there and lay down. Well, they got a noise machine in there so that they can keep on living and he doesn't listen and wake up, whatever. So I lay down in there and I'm thinking, this is like torture of a child right here because that thing's so stinking loud. And I laid there for a minute, and next thing I know, I was asleep, and I didn't hear nothing, and I slept till he got up, and then I was like, well, it wasn't so bad. So then I went and bought me one. I ordered me one off of Amazon. Been using it ever since.
So, Country said the EPU batteries are under the catwalk. When everything shuts down, it saves enough battery so you can still start the engine and UTS the failsafe.
That's partially true, but what
Yeah.
happens is when I first got this truck, it would crank at 12.0. Okay. When I got the service call on Monday, what happened was I was laying back there in the bunk resting while I was getting loaded, and the alarm went off that 18's talking about, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" And then I realized what it was, and it was showing 12.3. 12.3 should have cranked this truck, and it used to would, but I jumped up there, and when I turned the key, it didn't have enough cranking amps to start it. Well, when Love's come out and jumped it off, one of the first things we both noticed is there's all kinds of oil or something running out of one of the first battery, which the first battery in the series takes the biggest hit, by the way. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so that battery's already toast, and the second one's starting to show. So what I'm saying is, if your cranking amps get too low, and they test them, they'll put it on there. They're supposed to be 1150, but as they get older, they'll keep going down and down and down. And one of them tested at 300. That's not enough cranking amps to turn the truck over. So in theory, he's right, and that's how it's supposed to work. Is it's supposed to shut everything down while with enough that the truck will still crank. But what it does is they've got it set, and mine on this truck, I don't know about you, 18, but mine is set at 12.0. That's where my truck cranks. When it gets down to 12.0, well, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
because you don't use OptiAuto.
I've never used it,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
will
that's
say
what mine does
I've
too.
had
Is 12.0.
I've had it down to 11 something and cranked just fine.
With
So
my current battery situation, the way it is, 12.0 won't crank my truck. 12.3 won't crank my truck. Because what happens is it'll read 12.3 with no load on it, but as soon as you turn that key and it gets a load of that engine on it, then it's
uh-huh.
down like 11.4, 11.5, and it won't crank. So my batteries
All
are
right.
shot, and I wish y'all would have told me all this before I burn up $3,800. I really appreciated you for
Yeah,
Well,
it.
I had
you
no
guess
idea.
what?
These are why we
You
have these
never
live
asked.
videos.
You never asked, so I don't.
So, comments. OTR Vic says, "Good evening, fellas." Ted Hill. He said, "Would you guys rather have an EPU or an APU?" Don't know if I missed that or not. Well, in my
APU.
preference, I like the EPU because it's quieter,
Agree.
and it works.
I
Agree.
would rather
You know,
APU, to be honest with you.
well, APU requires a lot more maintenance than what the EPUs do. So,
Correct.
That is true, but then it's like I just feel like an APU is much more of a sound investment than an EPU. I mean, you gotta when those batteries go down, how much you paying, Poppy?
3,800 for 8 of them.
Okay, I mean, how much is it gonna change? How much does it cost to change a belt and do a service on an APU?
I think the ABU is more reliable, but I manage a truck or I take care of a truck that has an APU, and you have to keep the air filter changed on them regularly.
Yeah.
The other thing that I see about them, they don't work well in high altitudes. You go to Denver, they don't work well. Um, they
Man, you gotta buy
also
one of those little eBay turbos and just slap it on that thing, man.
They also either use or leak a little bit of coolant, and they use the coolant out of your main engine. So Ron is constantly having to add coolant to his main engine, and that's not an end of the world thing, but I don't like it.
All right, so more comments. Country says, yeah, 12.3 should have. Those damn internationals trolling. So he's, I guess, saying that I'm trolling because the international's a better truck. Jermaine McDonald said mine just said 12.4. Yeah, I hear you. Mr. 50 Trucker said, good evening, guys. Country said, International have the Eaton inverter and S-bar system or different. Also, my inverter is 1,800 watts in the Cascadia. I'm pretty sure mine's an Eaton inverter also, and I do have the S-bar system also.
Yeah, I think they're all just they're all the same.
Yeah, I think they order them all the same. Yeah, for the most part. What I like about and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but what I really like about the SFI trucks compared to the trucks at the other carriers, everything's done from the factory. Our system, our EPU, the inverter, everything is all done from the factory. So all the stuff under the bunk, to me, looks like it was professionally installed rather than hacked together by a bunch of mechanics at the shop at certain
we all have the 112 plugs. You know, you don't have to run extension cords and all that garbage.
Country said International. Oh, I already said that. Ted Hill says he's always preferred the APUs as well. You know, and again, it's just like, you know, truck manufacturers and brands. It's, you know, whatever you prefer. I mean, it really, there's not a wrong answer or a right answer. It's just, you know, which way you prefer something.
The APUs.
I would prefer an APU, in particular because I like to run in the South. So when you have like 100-degree weather, it's much easier for the APU to cool your truck than it is for the EPU. The EPU is gonna struggle, just point blank.
And see, I don't see 18. I don't have that problem. Like I went to Phoenix, second trip out with JB Hunt. I went to Phoenix on a Frito load, and it was 112 degrees out there, and they claim that you have to pull these curtains behind the driver, that it's not designed to cool the whole truck. It's only designed to cool the sleeper. I never pull those. I got them pulled when we do videos, but the rest of the time, those are open. I pull the ones around the windshield. I ran my inverter the whole time I was in Phoenix, and it daytime, 112 degrees, and I could hang meat in this thing, man. I don't have a problem.
Mine has been different because when I was in Charlotte doing a 34 for the 4th of July weekend, it was 115-degree weather, and that was during the daytime, and I had to pull the curtains, and I idled the truck for most of that day. So for just my experience, just the EPU is just trash during height.
I hate that for you. I haven't had that problem.
Yeah. Is it like that every day? No, but that was during the daytime too. So again, most days I'm driving, so truck's already cool just by the regular AC by itself. Only night, because you know I'm a solar powered driver. So
me and you both.
My truck.
So when you're a solo power driver, you don't have to use the EPU as much either.
That's right.
Exactly. And at nighttime, it's freezing cold. I'll give it to the EPU. I can leave my drink out, and it'll still be really cold. If I wake up any time in the night just to get a drink, it'll stay cold. So,
well,
Ted Hill. Go ahead.
I kind of exaggerated a little bit when I said I was hanging meat in Phoenix. I'd say it was holding 70, 72 degrees in here, and that's cold to me because I'm kind of cold natured anyway. I don't ever run anything. At home, we run our AC between 72 and 74.
So Ted Hill says, I don't have trouble with the leaking coolant, but with any type of engine, things could always go wrong with it. Country said, on a side note, how about that little clip we talked about? All of you would be great. You're going to have to tell me what that little clip is. I don't know if I remember that.
You mentioned me, James, doing that for him. What was that about? You asked me if I'd do it. I told you I would. We never talked about it.
Oh, yes. I forgot all about that. He wants us to do all three of us to kind of a clip of kind of an attaboy to SFI. How our experiences work. You know what, Country? I'll get on top of that hopefully later tonight or tomorrow. I'm kind of pressed for time on a lot of stuff, but I'll get it to you before the weekend, and I'm sure the other guys will too. we'll
Yeah,
get that done for you.
I'll just give you a preface what mine's going to be. I have zero complaints with SFI. Zero.
Yeah, same here, man. I don't have any complaints either. If I had a complaint, the only complaint would be a high truck payment, but that's what everybody always says, a high truck payment. But again, it's accelerated lease. It's the best way to get into ownership.
Quickly.
So he says, I much prefer the South as well. I guess he says he likes to prefer to go to the South. Brian 071 says, I've never used an APU or an EPU. Hell, I drove a cab over till about 5 years ago. Hey, I give you credit, man. Cab overs, they're cool looking. They're neat looking, but would I like to drive one? I don't think I would ever really like to drive one. I don't know if that would be a comfortable truck to drive, bouncing up and down all the time. And a lot of things about a cab over that a lot of people don't realize. You got to make sure your stuff's secure when you lift the cab over up to check your engine and do a pre-trip. Your microwave might be sitting in your driver's seat or smash through the front windshield when you lift it up. You remember those cab overs?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure well, another thing that I have a problem with is you got to make sure your drinks are secured too, because if not, you're going to have, water, soda, whatever you drink, tea all over your seats. Ain't no easy way to open up a cab over, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm old and I like old stuff, but I don't want no cab over. I'll pass on that.
Country says all I'm looking for. Country says all I'm looking for is 100% honesty. Question is, would you do SFI again? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And a matter of fact,
I'm going to.
I think he's getting ready to. So
I'm going to. Absolutely.
Big highway trucker. I keep saying this wrong. Higway trucker. That's very confusing. But how do you fuel per load or fill ups? Well, with me I fill up at the beginning of the week. Our week goes from Sunday morning to Saturday night. Midnight is when our cutoff is. I fill up every single day with the exception of Friday. I start slowing, fuel down. And towards the end of the week, Friday and Saturday, I just fuel enough fuel just to get me to where I need to go. Now, with that being said, if I'm on a load that's going to carry over to the following week, I really have no choice but to get fuel to get me through the load. So, but I try to be very conscious about how I feel.
My short answer to that is I'm going to buy the cheapest fuel all day long, every day, 7 days a week, and twice on Sunday.
Yep.
Listen,
what about you, 18
I don't
wheels?
have time to be doing all the geometry, trigonometries to figure out where's the best fuel prices. What I do like is that Landstar offers in the Landstar app, it shows me the cheapest fuel in my area up to a certain point, and then I can actually look around the map and just see on my route where the cheapest fuel is. And if I'm able to make it there to go fuel up, I'll go ahead and do that. Another thing that I like to use is this app. It's called, I don't know if you see it right there, it's called Fuel Calculator. And it, like I said, it's not perfect, but what it does is I usually plug in what my average fuel economy is, and I can plug in the fuel costs for me and what my distance is, and it'll give me a rough estimate about how much fuel I'm actually going to use for the whole trip. Now, do I use the whole thing? Not necessarily, because I tend to understate my miles per gallon and not do exactly what the truck is telling me. So I might put a little bit more fuel, I might put a little bit less fuel in, but overall, when I'm done with my trips, I usually have money left over for my fueling. So it's extra money in my pocket.
All right, so we got some comments here. I'm going to pick up Brian 071's comment first. He said, with phone calls between you and I, James, and also Chris, I'm calling SFI tomorrow. Do me a favor before you call tomorrow, Brian. Do me a favor. Give me your phone number in the email. It's flyrabbit@mail.com, not Gmail, but just mail.com. Send me an email tonight with your phone number. I'll give you a call, and I'll help you through the process, and I'll set you up with the people that we work with. It'll make things, I'll give you 100% smoothness of everything. And you also asked a comment about, there was something that you asked. You hauled oversized sidebar of the discount. I thought you asked, OTR Vic asked, what is the difference in payment on a used truck compared to a brand new truck with SFI? So what I looked at, and my concern was, and I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't take a truck that was smoked in. So used was out of the question. And when I found out that between the used and the new truck, and I'm talking like a 23 and a 24, I didn't really consider looking at a 22 or even older than that, because my goal for my business was to have a brand new truck that nobody's been into, that I knew when the oil changes were done, I knew what was done to the truck. I wanted that for me because this is a truck that I plan on purchasing. I plan on keeping it. To answer your question, I think there's like $30 or $40 difference a week in the truck payment.
The way it works, right? Yeah, the way it works with SFI is this. The age of the truck does not change the truck payment at all. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, let me clarify what I just said. So they set all their trucks up on 36 months. Okay? So if you've got a truck, and we're going to do this with math so kindergartners can understand it, all right? So if you get a truck, it's 12 months old. In other words, it's been in Snyder's possession for 12 months. Somebody's made 52 payments, because that's how many weeks there are in a 12-month period. And you come in, you're going to pay the same payment that guy paid, but you're only going to pay it for 24 months. Okay? If he's been in it 2 years, you're going to pay it for 12 months. Now, here's why the payment's sometimes higher or lower. The prices, every time the lease is redrawn, the price is reevaluated based on the market. So if the spot market's bad, the truck market's bad, the economy's bad, the freight market's bad, they're going to drop the payment. Now, during COVID, when we couldn't get enough trucks, and the truck market, used trucks was through the roof, they're going to jack the payments. So you might actually pay more for a used truck than what you could have paid for a new one. But that's not necessarily accurate either, because when the used truck prices went up, the new truck prices went up too. There's not that much difference in the two, unless, like right now, the market's bad and they can't give these trucks away. So you might get a used truck a couple hundred a month less.
So let me get some more of these comments here. I got a bunch of them that just popped up. Jermaine said, sidebar, the discount is different here. He saves about $300 a week. And I guess I get that. And that's with the fuels, what he's talking about. Ted Hill says, has any of us tried the Mudflap app for fuel? I've heard good things about it. I've looked at Mudflap many a times. I've never actually used it. I had the ES Advantage card when I was at Swift and other carriers. That's where I found the biggest advantage. But since we're here at JB Hunt, their fuel discounts can't be beat with any other card that I've came across.
The ES Advantage card, which I also have too, destroys Mudflap, 40 cents a gallon. And I agree with you that we pay bottom dollar for fuel. We're paying about $2.80, and this is including IFTA.
Well, I did $2.63 earlier.
Yeah, we're paying $2.60, $2.80 a gallon right now, and that's including IFTA. Now, if you take the IFTA out of that, depending on the IFTA varies from state to state, we might be paying $2.15, $2.20 a gallon if you take the IFTA out of it.
I just paid $2.63 in Carthage, Texas. So, and their fuel pump price was $3.42, I believe. Comments. So Brian asked Country, would you do an SFI again? And of course that answer is yes. Brian, I guess I forgot that we had talked. If you would, give me a call either tonight or in the morning before you call SFI, so I can get things set up for you. Big Highway Trucker said, good food recommendation for the week in the truck to save money for that SFI payment. Ramen noodles, I guess, would be the best thing.
It's always best to save up. It's always best to just cook in your truck. You'll save a whole lot more money that way. That's what I normally usually do is for me, that's how I'm able to save money, and I make pretty good meals while I'm
I know here's the thing, 18 Wheels. I know your truck payment was cheaper at Swift than what mine was. My truck payment at Swift was $700 a week. Here
Mine
it's
was
1107.
$625.
Here at SFI, my truck payment is 1107. Yes, it's more money for the truck payment, but when you do all fixed costs compared to Swift compared to JB Hunt where I'm at, I'm literally $200 a week more in a brand new truck. Now, granted, I had a 23 Kenworth at Swift. Wasn't brand new. It had 70,000 on it when I got it. You can call it brand new, but it wasn't brand new. But with my brand new truck here, I'm only paying about $200 a week more than what I did there, but I'm making more money. And what you got to realize, and everybody always makes comments, and I've had several people make comments about this. Go over your net, what you bring home. Well, the thing is, when you go over your net, everybody's deductions are going to be different. I go over gross because I tell you what you can make. I pay out a lot of deductions because, I have a health insurance for the family, which is a big chunk. I took every option that JB Hunt had because I wanted to be secure. So I don't go over what I bring home for that reason because everybody's, deductions are going to be different. Your deductions are different, Chris. You don't have.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and I should have asked permission to discuss this, but I didn't know it was going to come up, and I don't think he'd care anyway. And you can back me up on this, James, because Mike, one of our buddies, has been here. This Thursday will be his third paycheck. Last Thursday was his second paycheck. He's only been here 2.5, 3 weeks. He has no clue what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. He took home last week. I'm talking about take home. He took home $4,807. Now, granted, he didn't have a truck payment because they give you 3 weeks before they start taking it out. But what does it matter if you've got an $1,150 truck payment when you took home $4,807? So let's subtract the $1,100 out, and he still took home $3,700. I mean, at what point is enough money not enough? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it don't really matter what the truck payment is, I guess, if you're knocking the money down and can pay it. I mean, is it? I don't get it. I don't get it.
So Country says, yes, Ryan, he's putting together a video why SFI is where it's at. Brian says, I see.
At the end of the day, here's what I think. It doesn't matter how much the truck, your truck payment is. Are you at a company or are you able to cover those costs?
That's a good point.
Right. That's right.
Are you able to do it? Are you able to do it easily and still be able to take money home? When you're already done paid off all your business expenses.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're at 23 people.
Mike paid off his business expenses 18 and took home 4807. That's after plates, permits, fuel, insurance. I mean, out the door, he's paying taxes on 4807. And like I said, so let's take $1,100 truck payment off that. That's the only thing he'll have starting this week that he didn't have last week. So he still took home $3,700.
We got 24 people watching us, so let me go over these comments. I want to make sure we get those going. I've seen on the website, Bryant says, I've seen on the website that payment difference is $100 to $150 weekly.
That's because of the bad truck market right now.
Brian says, he asked me if I was in Texas. Yeah, I'm in Houston, buddy. He's in Nacogdoches is where he's at. Yeah, I'm actually in.
My favorite place to.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places to fuel right there at that TA.
I'm in Rosenberg, Texas is where I'm at. So K Solo says, I never see ICs for JB Hunt parked at truck stops. Where do you guys park for your for your 10-hour break? Well, our 10-hour break, we usually park at truck stops or wherever we can find a parking area. 34s are usually done at home on our little route, so most of the time anyways.
Yep.
Highway Trucker 1090, I'm assuming that you're the same guy as Big Highway Trucker.
Yeah, he said he was going to change his name, so Yeah,
Yeah,
that's him.
doing good at F2F. So he's doing good at F2F. Well, quite frankly, F2F is always on our back burner too.
It's always on our radar. That's a good point,
Yeah.
James.
Bryant said he just left Houston. Well, I was going to leave Houston tonight, but I only had 2 hours on my clock, and I didn't really want to fight the traffic. Was what my issue was. The traffic was killer. You know how the traffic is in Houston, so I didn't want to have to go through that. And if my wife is still watching, yes, I'm drinking water.
Yeah, leaving Houston will be a little better at 3 a.m. than it would have been at 5 p.m.
I need some ice. Yeah, I was going to ask you to put your website back up there again. 18 Wheels.
Yeah.
We need to listen, guys. We need to grow his channel. Go and look at his videos. His channel needs to grow. What are you sitting at? A little bit over 100 subscribers?
Yep, 110. I did finally post a new video, so there's a new video up.
That's good. You need to put more videos out, man. That's for sure. So, like I said, everybody go in and watch his videos. He's really good at what he does. Also, get on here and like our video here, man. Please like our video. That's why we'll keep putting stuff out. So Brian said he left 2 hours. He had 2 hours and 44 minutes left. He's pressing his luck. Yeah, I didn't want to press my luck. I should have, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get stuck on the highway. Austin Tanner says, make sure to use James Person at SFI. He's great. He was able to get a referral added 3 weeks after the fact. Very helpful. Hey, Austin, I appreciate it, buddy. I really do. And I've talked to you several times on the phone, too. We need to get Austin aboard here. But I think he wants to run his own thing for a while with the load board. We've talked several times on the phone. Appreciate it, Austin. And Jose Guerra.
Let me stop you right there just a second, James.
Yeah.
I think we need to be transparent. And I think we need to tell people how it is. And if they get aggravated or they don't come, they don't come. But I don't want you coming here and not being successful. So let me make it very clear. I'm going to say this, and I'm gonna say it, and it ain't going to be liked, but it just is what it is. At JB Hunt, 90% of the freight that we have is not on the load board. So if you think you're going to come here like I did, and they're just going to put every load they got on the load board, and you're going to pick what you want and run it, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because that ain't how it works. And it don't work that way at Snyder either.
And it doesn't work that way.
And it don't work that way at Swift either. You got, at Swift and Snyder, you've got company trucks that you're competing with. They're going to put all the best paying loads on their company trucks, and they're going to give the owner ops the scraps that they don't want, that's heavy, going to places you don't want to go, that you can't get out of. Now, we don't have any company trucks at JB Hunt, period. Period. All we have is contractors. So if you see a white Freightliner or International going down the road and it says JB Hunt on the door, that is not a company truck. That is dedicated to a specific customer. They don't run over the road. We contractors run all the over-the-road loads. Now, we have two divisions. We have the IC division, which is what we're in, and we run JB Hunt numbers, JB Hunt plates, pull 360 box trailers. And then there's a division called 360 box, which pulls 360 box trailers. And some people call that power only. Those trucks are running their own plates, their own numbers, their own insurance. JB Hunt makes 5% more off of every load that 360 box pulls. So that's our competition. Like Snyder and Swift has to compete with company trucks, we have to compete with 360. So I said all that to say this. Just know when you come over here, if you don't get any help, you're not going to pull the loads that we pull. You're going to pull whatever they want to let you see on the load board. That's, for instance, I was in St. James, Missouri at Walmart today when my Jonesboro to Orlando canceled 2 hours before I was going to pick it up. I had to get on the load board. I did a 150-mile search within St. James, Missouri. There was 2 loads came up on the load board, and they were both the same loads, picking up the same place, going the same place. That's the only choices I had. My choices, if I didn't know somebody, my choices today was you can set and take a 0 till tomorrow, or you can pull this load. So just know, I don't want you coming over here thinking that JB Hunt's got 90,000 loads on the load board for you to pick from. Okay? If you want to come over here, we don't want to, I'm not trying to run your life. I'm not trying to tell you where you got to run and what loads you got to take, but I'm just saying, if you want to make the money we make, you got to do what we do. That's just how it is.
Agreed. Let's see here. Jose Guerrera says he has a question, and I know what his question is. He's trying to get a truck through SFI, but basically I have to get what they want. And that's not always true. And I left you my email address, Jose. Send me your contact information, and I will help you, put you with the people that I have, and we'll try to get you to the right people.
What, James?
I have no
Last
problem.
time I checked, you're paying for
I
at
lost
SFI.
connection.
You're paying for what you want. So
yeah, I lost
whatever you
connection.
can
What
afford
does
is
he
what you
mean?
get.
What does he mean? He has to get what's he talking about?
I'm not sure. That's why I want him to call me. But basically, I have to get what they want. I don't know what that means. That's what he's saying.
No,
Is he
that's not
referring to
accurate.
just the trucks? Or they just tell
Now
him
you can
whatever
pick out.
truck they-
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what's going on. You got to get in touch
Yeah,
with me
last
so I
time
can
I
put
checked
you with
is
my guy.
Well,
last time I checked
first
is
of
if you
all,
got money.
this is why you don't call in and just talk to whoever answers the
That's right.
phone. This
That's
is
right.
why it's important that you talk to Nate or Jeff.
That's right.
Yeah. Guys, we're not trying to be know-it-alls. We've done it. We made the mistakes. I came to JB Hunt. The guy that brought me here lied to me about what he made. He was here 2 weeks and he quit, and I found out he wasn't making any money. I had to figure out how to make a living here on my own. All I'm trying to do is help other people to not have to go through what I went through, and that's what we're trying to do with SFI too. The SFI is a good company, but they're like everybody else. You can get 6 different people on the phone tell you 6 different things.
So cash. JB Hunt 360 has been busy for him. He's been getting $2 a mile for light loads, and he's an outside carrier. So he's one of the outside
He's
carriers.
running what we're running, if that's what he's
Yep.
getting.
So Country says maybe he means he doesn't get to look and test drive. And Jose says, I got your info. Yeah, contact me, Jose. I'll go over everything with you and help you out.
Back to
Highway
that
trucker.
Back to that 360 comment, James.
Yep.
He's pulling what we're pulling, but he's getting it off of his load board. If you don't know somebody in our division, you don't pull that load.
That's right. So highway trucker 1090. What key points do people need to be successful in an SFI lease? Number one, pick a carrier that you know is good. That's the most important thing. Do your research on your carrier. We're not saying that JB Hunt is the best carrier. We're not saying it's the worst carrier, but right now it works for us. 18 Wheels is at Landstar. It works for him. But you know, his requirements are a little bit different than what our requirements are and what our wants and needs are. You just got to do your research. You know, I'm not saying that JB Hunt's the best place to go to, but we're making money and we're happy with what we've got.
You can make a living. You can make a living at numerous companies with an SFI truck. JB Hunt's not the only place. I know people's doing it at Mercer. I know people's doing it at F2F. I know people's doing it at Landstar. But here's the problem. It doesn't matter which one of those companies you go to, guys. If you don't have somebody there to help you and mentor you, there's going to be a learning curve, and you're going to suffer while you learn. But if you go to Landstar and 18 agrees to help you, you're going to have an easier path. If you come to JB Hunt and somebody helps you, you're going to have an easier path. We're not the only company here that you can have an SFI truck and make and clear $3,000 a week. You can do that 7 different places, but you better have some help from somebody when you go in, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what their freight lanes are. You don't know where to go, where not to go. And if you don't have somebody to mentor you, you're going to suffer until you figure it out. And hopefully, maybe you lose your truck in the process, but hopefully you won't lose your truck while you learn.
See,
So
the thing
here's the good. And I'll let you talk. I'm sorry, I'm walking right over you, but you got to be a part of the cool kids in order to get into the good stuff. Because Chris, you had to learn the hard way of what the right things were to do, and it almost cost you your truck learning what we didn't have to go through what you went through. You learned it the hard way. Go ahead.
I started out, James, to finish your comment, James. I started out, and when this guy left that claimed he was making all this money, and I found out he wasn't making squat. When he left, I started out, it was a struggle to clear $900, $1,000 a month. I mean, a week, okay? That's way below what I came here I was making $1,800 a week as a company driver at TMC, all right? But here's the thing, I didn't give up. I kept working, and then I got to 11 and 12 and 15 and 18 and 2 and 22 and 25 and 3 and 35, and I got to where, but it took, I've been here 16 months. There was a lot of months when company drivers was making more money than me. A lot of months.
Listen,
some asshole out here is honking their horn again.
The most important thing that you need to realize with any lease or just anything in life in general is that you need to understand what you're getting into.
Yeah.
If you're just all willy-nilly and just shooting for the moon and hoping that you're gonna land beyond some stars, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna fall through a lot of stars. You have to have a clear understanding of what you are getting into, and not only just what you're getting into, but what is the goal? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Because if you're just doing stuff just for the heck of it, anything and everything that happens to you is just you're not gonna have any plans for it.
And if you're just doing it for the money, you may not last either, because had I just been doing it for the money, I'd have walked away when I was making $1,100 a week, 12. But I didn't want to be at a company anymore. They begged me to come back to TMC all the time. I don't want to be at a company. I don't want to be a company driver anymore. Well, why? They tell me when I can leave the house, when I can go home, how long I can stay. I get 1 week's vacation a year. I may be home holidays, I may not. If my kid's birthday, my grandkid's birthday is in the middle of the week, I ain't going to be home. I don't want to be a slave, and that's what you are when in a lot of these jobs, when you're a company driver, they own you. Nobody tells me when I'm leaving, when I'm going home, how long I'm staying. I done been off 4 weeks this year. I'm getting ready to go to Florida for another week. Why? Because I can. That's why.
So let me get these comments, guys, here. And honestly, when you asked about the SFI lease, the number one thing is pick a carrier. And it's like running any business. And I use, like if you were going to open up a restaurant, I mean, you're not going to have any home time. I mean, you're going to be running that restaurant, 20 plus hours a day, because there's things that happen. I was in the beer delivery business for years. Guess what? Beer comes at some odd hours at night. Coca-Cola, some of your food, it might be 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when you get your deliveries. I've delivered beer at 4 a.m. before to restaurants. Well, guess what? Manager has to be there to collect that stuff. And it's the same thing here. You got to put the time in. So getting back to these comments, Jose says he's trying to pick international blue or any other color. They want to give me a burgundy. She says they don't have any color. So Jose, that's a true statement. So here's the deal. 24 is the last year they're ordering internationals. The only color they have is maroon. They have, last I heard, they had 2 maroon ones left. Our buddy Mike just got a black one, so he had to choose between 3 trucks, black or one of the maroon ones. So they are telling you right. Maroon is the only color they have.
And they
and I
called
know
me.
that.
They begged me for 2 months to let them have my Freightliner, and wanted me to see if I'd take an international. And I wanted one because of the fuel mileage difference. There's a 1.5 miles to the gallon fuel mileage difference. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And finally I decided I would, as you know, James. And I called, and the maroon's what I wanted. And they had 2 of them they'd been sitting on for 6 months. Couldn't give them away. And I called them back, and they said, then they changed their mind and didn't want to trade with me. So I said I didn't have anything negative to say about SFI. There you go. They teased me about wanting to trade trucks, and then when I finally decided to trade, then they wouldn't trade me.
So, Jose, to answer your question on that, that is the only color they have in the international. Now, what I've been told, and nothing's set in stone on this, they do have the Freightliners. They got both the premium and the standard Freightliners. The difference between the premium and the standard right now is the dinette set that you get in the premium, and also leather interior. And I'm sure there's other things too that are in there.
Don't forget the plastic chromes,
Oh yeah, the chrome mirrors and stuff like that. But they are getting, from what I understand, they are getting Kenworths and Peterbilts, but they haven't come in yet for whatever reason. So that might be an option in the future. But again, like I said, nothing's been set in stone on that yet. I hope that answers your question.
Nate claims that they're still having trouble getting trucks, and he says they're going to get 2025 internationals. But about 2 weeks ago, I spoke with him, and they don't have any yet.
Oh, they're getting 25 internationals?
He says they are. He claims they're going to get them.
That's not what Jeff said. Jeff said they're not ordering internationals or Volvos anymore.
That's what I just told you a while ago when I said you can get 6 different people there and get 6 different answers.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I want you guys to call one of us so we can get the right answers. Because if you call and talk to somebody, your down payment might be different than what we had to put down. That's why it's imperative for you guys to get a hold of us when it's time to get a truck, because you might call one guy and they might say $3,000, where one guy might say $1,500, one guy might say $7,000. And again, it's just like car sales. They are truck salespeople. They don't work for Schneider. They work for SFI. They're selling trucks. The more money they get down from you, just like in a used car or a new car. I sold cars for years. The more money you get down from somebody, it's more money that they can put into the profit of the deal. I don't think it's any different. I could be talking out of my head here, but they are truck salespeople, and that's how the business works.
Well, and I'm going to say,
Nate and Jeff aren't the ones ordering trucks either.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's right.
And plus, remember, they have trucks all over the United States, not just in one area. And so I'm just gonna go in the comments here real quick, where Jose is saying he's trying to get a basic Cascadia because they don't have any premiums. I'll tell you what, I mean, to be honest with you, if you just want a fancy little dinette table and the extra little plastic chromes and the leather seat, you can get you a premium. If you want a truck that works and it does what it need to do, get you a basic Cascadia, you're not going to be missing out on much.
I've got a standard truck 18. I got plenty of money. I got plenty of money. I can get whatever I want to get. Okay. When I get another truck, it'll be a standard. I'm going to tell you right now, well, that's not fair. I started to say I'm going to tell you right now that you will regret that dinette, because it depends on what you're going to do, okay? If you're going to run recaps and work 8 hours a day and lay around for, the other 16 hours, you might want that dinette. If you do what I do and what James does and Mike does and Ron does, you're going to run your hind end off. You're going to work 11, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And when
Hey,
you
I
park
run my
that
butt off
truck,
too. You got to put me in there,
yeah,
man.
I can't put you in there because I don't monitor your truck. We're all in an app. I know where everybody's at, when they stopped, how long they stopped. But the thing is we run so
I'm in the
hard
app
when.
too. Don't remember I'm in
Are
the
you?
app as
Are
well
you
too.
in my app?
Yes, I'm
You
in the
didn't tell
app.
me that, James.
All right. Yeah, he's on there.
All right,
Calm
so
down. Calm down, guys.
when we stop, dude, we go to sleep. And
Exactly.
I don't want to lay on top of no freaking table and try to sleep.
All right, Jose. You're asking a lot of questions here, and I agree with you. You don't need the premium Cascadia. Do me a favor. Like I said, leave me your number in the email. I'll call you tomorrow. We'll talk about it. I'm trying to save you a little bit of money. I'm not saying that it'll save you a lot, but it'll save you a little bit. And you, again, you're saying you want to go to Schneider. I'm not. I don't think Schneider's your answer. So, like I said, give me a
I
call,
wouldn't
and
recommend it to anybody
yeah, I
either.
wouldn't. I wouldn't
There's
recommend the
people
Schneider
that
thing
do
either.
it. I mean, there's people that can make it happen. There's people that have been there for years, just like with Swift and any other company. But I wouldn't recommend Schneider, man. It's just you're gonna
The
yeah.
safety crap is over the top.
It's too much.
It's too much. They it's like anywhere else. If you make a contact there and you got somebody on the inside, I know people there that's doing okay money wise. But my
Right.
God, who wants to put up with the bull crap? Just and I can tell this now because James ain't there no more. But they didn't want you PCing if you had a Snyder trailer. Okay, so James goes home. He drops his trailer at a customer and he bobtails home on PC. And it wasn't very far. And he gets a phone call and they're mad because he PC'd with the trailer after he called dispatch and said, please dis detach this trailer because I'm going home. He did everything he's supposed to do, and then they want to call and jump his crap because he went home with the trailer when he didn't go home with the trailer. I wouldn't put up with that crap 5 minutes. They'd fire me or something would happen. I can tell you right now.
And I tell you, based off of experience of leasing over the few years, my number one thing with leasing is not eating where you shit.
Watch
And
your mouth.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
you got and also it's
There goes my
if I have to,
monetization.
if I have to listen, if I have to compete with company drivers, you already know that it's already a losing battle going uphill at that point.
You're not gonna win that war. That's a
So
true
it's better
statement.
if you can get you a truck and go somewhere else where you're competing with like-minded individuals who are doing the same thing that you're doing. You'll have a much better chance at being successful. I for one, just based off my experience leasing throughout the last couple of years, is just that if I have to compete with company drivers, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to win, or I'm going to have a very hard time achieving what it is that I need to get. Yeah, jeez.
Let me tell you this little story. So James goes over to Snyder, right? And I've been running this customer that I'm running for 16 months. It's a top paying customer.
Again, let's remind everybody why I went to Snyder. The whole reason I went to Snyder is because there was a $6,000 sign-on bonus.
That's correct. That's correct.
Me and him got that $6,000 sign-on bonus.
So I'm running this customer, the top paying customer in the industry right now. Top paying customer in the industry. And they got all these stinking Snyder trailers where I'm going. So as soon as James gets on the Snyder, I call him and I said, get you a notebook, son. He said, all right. I said, write down this. And I'm telling him every one of these locations, I'm saying this is where you need, because it doesn't tell Snyder drivers anymore than it does JB Hunt who the customer is. It just has the town and the state. So I'm telling him, if it's here, it's this customer. If it's here, it's this customer. He's writing all these down, like 25 of them.
Yeah, I pulled 4 of them.
He's like that. Chris. He's like, they ain't on the board. So I start paying attention when I go on these customers, all these orange trailers. Guess what's pulling them out of there, 18? Company drivers. Absolutely. Yep. And I've seen, like, honest to God, I've seen like one Snyder owner operator in like 6 months now. So
I haven't seen any, to be honest with
And
you.
you know, and to your point, the same thing over with Swift as well too, because again, you're still competing with company drivers, and the way how Swift operates over there, it's a first come first serve. But you already know that it's a first come for company, and then you're gonna get served when
that's
take care
yeah,
of their trucks first. Especially
yeah.
if you're stuck up in the Greer, South Carolina area, those planners over in that area don't they really do stick to that first come first serve. And I've heard horror stories where owner operators will get booked on loads from the East Coast planner, and then they'll come in and remove the loads off of the owner
That's
operator
right.
until they gotta wait their turn.
That's
That's
right.
absolutely ridiculous. I'm out
That's
here
right.
trying to run a business, and you're going to go ahead and cuckold me. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
If you go that
Watch your
place,
mouth.
if you
Man, my bad.
if
I'm
you go
just
if you
I
book
got flashbacks going on right now, man. I just got flashbacks from some stuff. So I'm
you book
like,
a high paying load at Snyder as an IC, and they decide they need that load for their company truck, they just tell you, oh, customer canceled that load. Yeah, okay, and I can
yeah,
fly too.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah,
That's ridiculous. So yeah, to my
So,
point, if it works for some people, it's okay for others. Just for me and my experience, I don't want to compete with the company that I'm leasing on to. Like that
correct.
it just doesn't make any sense for me. I thought we're all in this to as one unit trying to do something, but come to find out, hey, that company truck needs to get moving, and
You're here to
so well for you.
pull. You're here to pull 18. You're here to pull the crap loads that they don't want to pull. The
Hey,
heavy
you know what?
loads,
Those heavy paper loads at Swift, those paper loads, man, they come by the dozen.
they can't give
So
them away.
they can't listen. Every time I'm leaving out of Florida, I gotta go to Fernandina Beach.
so Bryant says the standards look better. He loves Country's truck. The blue with the black is beautiful.
Oh, the
Ted Hill
standards are
said the amenities are
way.
nice, but I'm more concerned with getting something that's more fuel efficient and gets me from point A to point B and as make much money as possible. And I agree. Ted, I'm confused. Are you planning on coming over here? Is that where you're planning on doing? I don't think I've heard from you. I'm not so concerned with the chrome and all the extras, he says. Country said he's PC'd over 400 miles with the trailer here, and he's PC'd home with the trailer for a week sometimes, and they've never said anything to him. But
Where's this at?
they would, but they didn't.
Where's this at? Where's this at?
You talking about Country?
Yeah, where's he
Yeah,
at?
where's Country? Where is he at?
I don't know. I don't know where he. I mean, I think he lives in West Virginia, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
who
He's
does he
not
drive
with.
for?
He's not with.
Oh,
Hunt.
Country's at Snyder. Country's at Snyder.
Well, that's
Country's at Snyder.
I mean, I can't. My only. Well, in my experience has been what I already told you, James. You was there. You know how they did you.
Oh yeah. So, oh man,
how
I
they
had a.
do 'em?
Well, just
Hey.
like I told you, he called dispatch and told him to take that trailer off, and he bobtailed home, and he
Oh
didn't
yeah,
go very far, and then they jumped his crap because he PC'd with the trailer. They called him. Safety called him.
yeah. I
So
think he did
Country
something.
says they actually are honest and will tell you that they needed that load for a driver to get home. Austin Tanner says you're okay on monetization. You're more than 5 minutes in video. He's just telling me the rules. Ted Hill says, like you all have said time and time again, do your research and pick what fits you. Ted Hill says, I don't have any plans to. I'm just giving my opinion on preferences. Okay, I got you. Joshua Moses says, I'm at JB Hunt now with an SFI truck coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. This is my first week out. How can I get help planning? I don't really understand what he means there. Planning.
Well, he's talking about planning this week and planning his loads. I mean, he's welcome to call me, and I will give him advice where try to help him all I can. I'm not gonna book all his loads for him like I do these other
Right.
4 trucks because I got a life too. But I will give him advice.
So, Joshua, I'm putting up my email address. Write my email address down. Give me a line. Give me your phone number. I'll give you a call tomorrow, and I'll patch you through with Poppy. He's a solar-powered truck driver, so you can get a hold of me tomorrow. I'll be driving tomorrow. I drive whenever, so it don't matter to me. But I will call you back, and I'll put you in contact with him. And he says advice is perfect. Yeah, we'd be more happy to give you some advice and help you out.
Yeah, I just don't want to manage his truck. He needs to do that.
I'm curious, Joshua. How did you find out? How did you find out about SFI and JB Hunt? Did you just do your own research? Go ahead, 18 Wheels.
Hey, I want to just go back to Country's comment there. He was where he said that they're actually honest and tell them that they need that load for a driver. Listen, the way I feel about that is, if I'm already booked on that load, I'm already contractually obligated to keep that load. So taking it off of me to give it to somebody just because they got to get home, why do I have to suffer the consequences because they wasn't quick enough to get it for them?
Yeah, and I can only speak for JB Hunt, but if you fall off of a load within 24 hours of when it picks up, you get a service failure. And after 3 service failures, you don't work here no more. And it's not fair that they want to hold us accountable for falling off a load, but then they have no problem canceling a load off of us for one of their company trucks 2 hours before it picks up. Now, they don't do that here. It happened to
me a couple weeks ago, remember?
No. You talking about it when you was in Jonesboro?
Yep. Don't you remember when I had that little discussion with the boss? Remember?
Well,
else.
In your case, what happened was, to be transparent, James, we were going to pick, and I may get the days wrong, but I'm making it. I'm giving an example here. We had a load booked like on a Friday, and it was a really good paying load. And you were going to get there on a Thursday, and you were going to have to lay over for a day to get it, but it was worth it. Well, the guy that was over that account, the customer moved it up. They wanted it picked up a day earlier on Thursday, which was ideal for us. Yep. But he didn't look. He just assumed, oh, well, that load's not going to work for that driver now. So he pulled it. And the bad thing about it was he didn't tell nobody. He didn't tell the driver. He didn't tell the coordinator. He told nobody. So we didn't know it for 5 hours. So James calls me and tells me what's happened, and I said I can get that load back, because if it had been if it had been planned on another truck, I could have took that load away from that driver and put it back on James's truck. I had the power to do that. But the problem is the guy had already picked it up and was 2 hours down the road with it.
Right.
But that was just incompetence on the rep of the. That was the customer rep just being stupid. Is what that was.
I mean,
and that does happen.
How hard would it have been for them to just pick up a phone and made a phone call?
Oh,
exactly.
James,
that's what my complaint was.
Hey, James, we noticed that the load's been moved up. I don't think that you're able to make them. Like, actually, I'm already here. And
yeah, James,
pick it up early.
You can rest assured. You can rest assured. James reamed his ass good about it, and then he said, and then he gaslighted James and said, "You're right. I'm a failure. You're right. I'm a failure."
That's exactly what he said. His exact words. He said, "Well, I guess I'm a failure." And I said, "Well, I'm not saying you're a failure. You know, I'm just telling you that it was wrong the way you did it." So Gerard says, "Hello, business owners." Well, hello to you, Gerard. Thanks for joining in. That's the first time I've seen your name. Appreciate you coming aboard and listening. Bryant071 says he used to own a truck and misses it, but my hang up is I don't want to live on the road anymore. I give Monday through Friday. That's my hang up. I think what you mean to say is you want to work Monday through Friday. So what you need to do is you need to call me or Poppy, because that's exactly what Poppy does. He works pretty much Monday through Friday, and maybe that's an option for you.
Depends on where you live. Where does he live?
Yeah, where do you live at, Bryant? Country. I'm not saying it's right or I like it. I'm just saying is all. And it sucks ass when it ruins your week. And I agree there.
Amen.
Joshua Moses. Yes, 2 years ago, I almost went to SFI. I ended up going with another company, and it was a bad deal. This time around, I decided to go to SFI, and I have a couple buddies that have completed their leases. Well, and honestly, that was one of my reasons I wanted to come here. And I studied the SFI thing for over 3 years before I actually made the commitment. And, also the down payments were like in the 10 grand range at that time when I started 3 years ago. But I did a lot of research, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come, because it was to me, the success rate of actually completing a lease is pretty good over here. Ted Hill says, if I was to ever think I might come over to SFI or JB, I would definitely be getting in touch with you guys. And honestly, you need to, Ted Hill, because you would really like it over here. If you've driven a truck before, you would really like it over here, especially the Monday through Friday stuff, and that's very possible. That is what I like to do. I live in Orlando. So Jose, you live in Orlando. Well, 18 Wheel lives in Orlando, and I live about 45 minutes east of Orlando in the Melbourne area. So you would be just fine living in Florida. Bryant says he's in Indiana, but by Fort Wayne, Indiana. Tell Chris this is Jason. Oh, I remember you. Okay, Jason. You remember talking to Jason, don't you? Yeah, you talked to him about a week ago.
Yes, he texted me today.
Yep. And I've had a couple calls with him. Yep. So, yeah, okay, I know who you are now. I've talked to you too before, Bryant.
So, Jason, my load to Orlando got canceled. You asked me where I was headed today. So I came back to Belleville, Illinois, picked up a load of cardboard going to Frito-Lay in Pulaski, Tennessee. So there's a little update.
Yeah, our stuff isn't always 100%, but if I had to give a percentage, what do you think? 75, 80% we're good? Maybe 85?
I've been here 16 months, and this customer today's the 5th problem I've had in 16 months. So there you go.
Yeah, they don't happen very often.
It's not a perfect world, and when these customers are shipping 70,000 loads a month, I mean, there's going to be times when things change, We don't have the product. We didn't get the ingredient we needed to make the product. I was in Texas, lost a load, had to deadhead 600 miles out because that hurricane came ashore down there and knocked the power out for 2 days. They couldn't work. I mean, stuff happens,
Something. It's always something.
Something happens, It's just part of life.
Well, I got to say, so far, this live has been probably the most successful that we have, and we came unprepared. We didn't really have a topic to talk about, and this just goes to show. I think our most successful lives are the ones that we don't really have a topic to talk about because it's kind of a free for all. We had 31 people watching tonight at one time. I'm curious to see what the viewership is. Last week's video, we got over 100 views in the first 2 hours. And within 4 hours, we had over 300 views. So this video here, I'm sure we'll get a lot of views too, just because it's us talking, business about, what's going on. And I think that's the number one topic. Everybody that I've talked to and everybody that sends comments, they just want information about what we do. Right now, the trucking industry is garbage, just about everywhere. I mean, there's a few people that are doing pretty decent that I follow, YouTubers on just about every company. I got guys at Prime that I watch. I got guys that Schneider that I watch. I mean, you name it, the carrier, I've watched them. I got a guy that works at KLLM that I watch. He's doing pretty well at KLLM. I got another guy at Hirschbach that I watch.
You got a guy
I got two guys at Hirschbach.
You still got a guy at Christensen doing good.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a YouTube channel, believe it or not. He doesn't, but he's doing pretty good. But I follow a lot of people, and right now the trucking business is garbage. But again, I think these are the most successful shows that we have is when we put together stuff on the fly like this. I mean, we're running at an hour and 40 minutes almost 31 people viewing tonight, which is, basically almost double what we've had in any of the others on a live. So again, I think we're doing something right, because people want information. They want good information and solid information. And quite frankly, I think we put it out there.
I did have something that I wanted to talk about that would have made a good topic, but I like the little free for all that we did earlier today, so I just left it off the table for now.
I
Yeah.
think what'll help this channel be successful is, and I won't be a part of it any other way. Y'all can have it. I don't need this. I got plenty to do. But that's the fact that everybody's just truthful about it. We don't lie on here. And if we misspeak, we'll correct it next time. But we're just going to tell you how it is. What we do is not for everybody. Everybody won't be successful at what we do because everybody's not going to run like we run. It's like Dave Ramsey, my favorite saying. You know, you want to make what I make, you got to do what I do, and that's what I do is not for everybody. And you need to decide what you want to do. That's what, if you're thinking about getting into this, what do you want to do? You know?
Yeah. I've had a couple guys that have contacted me, and when I tell them, the mileage that we do, they don't want nothing to do with it. There's quite a few people that don't want to drive 3,000 miles a week or more, and make the money that we make. They just want to, and in that case, I say, well, you know what? You'd probably be best off just, working the load board and doing your own thing.
Well, I'm getting older.
You're going to run doing what we do.
So,
people might be better off just being a company driver at that point.
That's right.
If you're not out here to hustle, what are you out here doing?
Yeah.
Country, I agree with you, man. We need to get some more likes. Everybody hit the like button.
We got 12
Brian,
right now. Let's get it to 15. How about that? That's just a small number. Let's get it to 15.
Bryant says, yeah, I know things happen. Trust me, I do. I was with Landstar, and being from Fort Wayne, automotive was great, but a lot of flops. But, yeah, I want to work Monday through Friday, and that sucks, Chris. Yeah, I mean, again, Bryant, it doesn't hurt to give us a contact or give us a call. I've sent the email address out there many a times. You're Jason. We've talked to you many times. I keep saying that. I'm sorry.
Jason is in. I'm gonna call Jason out. Okay, can I do that?
Yeah.
Jason is in a home run area, and Jason wants to do this so bad he can't stand it. But I think his wife's about to crack his head. I think's what the deal is on that, James.
Jason,
I'm teasing you, Jason. Don't be mad at me.
Jason, I think
Mama's a little nervous.
Jason, you're in a primo spot to do what we do. An absolute primo spot. So Ted Hill says, I like it because you guys do not sugarcoat things and have lots of knowledge and willing to help others. I appreciate it, Ted. And that's one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel, because I didn't want to put any fluff in here. A lot of YouTubers put, I don't want to call it fluff, but honestly, there's only been really one or two YouTubers that I've ever followed. Let me watch this guy, make sure he doesn't bump into me. But I have one YouTuber that, and I'm going to name him, and me and him kind of had a little falling out, but I'm going to give credit where due credit is. Trucker Todd. He's one of the very first guys that I started watching on YouTube. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. We've had, like I said, we've had a little bit of a falling out, but I still respect him. I think he's a great guy. Unfortunately, he's having a little bad luck right now. I don't know if anybody watches his videos, but if you're not, subscribe to his channel and watch his videos, because he does put out good content. But again, there's a lot of guys out here that doesn't put true numbers or true things out. This guy is making me very nervous. But there's a lot of guys out there that doesn't put out good information, and I don't like that. And this guy is going to hit one of these trucks, so I'm going to make sure he doesn't hit mine. There's very few guys out there that put out good information, and Trucker Todd was one of the very first ones that I watched that put out good information, and that's what got me into driving a truck, was him. Back to driving a truck. I've been driving for 20 years, but I sat out for a long time and decided to get back into it about 3 years ago. Let's see here. What other comments we got? Sorry about that, Todd. I tried to put that out the best that I could. I know a couple of interruptions. Country said, agreed, because I'm not, and I don't want to be a 3,000 plus mile a guy a week. Yeah, we've talked about that, Country, and I agree with you.
Well, let me say this about that. I don't want to be either, and I'm trying. I've done better. I'll just throw this out there. I can talk about it now because it's over with and whatever. When I started doing well at this company, I was running for I'm not going to name the customer, but I was running automotive. Uh, I was dedicated automotive, and that took up 2 days of my 5. And that's what I brought Ron over here to do. That's what I brought James over here to do. That's what I brought Mike over here to do. And we'd had that customer 30 years. And 2 weeks ago, we lost them. That was a $12 million account that we lost. And we could have panicked and whatever, but we were already mixing in this other customer, so we just smoothly translated into running all this other customer that we've had for decades. But because of that, that dictated that me, James, Mike, and Ron, we had to be in Cincinnati, Ohio, the same day at the same time every week. So that did 2 things. That limited what else we could make because we had to structure everything about getting back to Cincinnati. The second thing it did was it made us run a whole lot of empty miles. So now that customer's gone, I've cut my empty miles from about 800 a week down to about 300 a week. And I'd love to cut it more than that. So depending on where you live, and Jason living in where he lives, he'd have 0 miles out of the house, 0 miles back to the house. So that's a huge advantage. Everybody don't live in a place like that. Now, we picked up 3 new customers within 70 miles of my house, as you know, James.
Yep.
Which has helped me because that's helped me to get out of the house. I was running 300 miles every single week out of the house to the first load every week. So now that's cut 230 miles of my empty just getting out of the house on Monday. So you don't necessarily have to run 3,000 miles. And I would love to run 2,500 a week and make $5,000. I'm happy with that. That's plenty. But all you guys gotta remember that we're in the worst freight market we've been in my lifetime, and I'm 56 years old. So I said all that to say this. It will get better. When this election's over, it's going to get better one way or the other. No matter who wins, it's going to get better because if one party wins, it's going to go through the roof within 12 months. If the other party wins, it's not going to be that great, but it's going to be better because a lot of what's driving all the uncertainty right now is people just not knowing what's going to happen. People's got money sitting on their money. And they're going to, no matter, once this election's over, no matter who wins, there's going to be a group of people that's going to say, well, this is what we got for 4 more years. Lock it, lump it, whatever. I can't sit here and do nothing. And they're going to start turning loose of some money. You're going to see it get better probably the second quarter of next year, regardless of who wins. That's my prediction.
So back to some comments here. Bryant said, thanks, Chris. You hit the nail on the head with that, bud. My woman has a mean right hook. Jose, if the money is there, I have no problems. Well, the money is definitely here. There's no doubt about that. We've talked about that.
Customer freight, guys, is where it's at. No matter what company you're at in this market, I bet 18 will tell you that he'd much rather pull what they call direct freight. Would you not, 18?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Ted Hill says, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
That's right, Nicole.
No,
I
that
hope
was
you're
Ted
happy,
Hill.
Nicole.
that was Ted. Yeah, it was Ted Hill.
I hope Nicole's happy.
Gerard says, my goal in trucking is to work 1 or 2 weeks out of the month and have my house and my truck paid off. He means 1 or 2 weeks out. Okay?
I tell you what,
the
way this market is running, it's not in the favor of gross revenue, but miles.
Right.
So for the most part, if you can set a goal and say, this is the X amount of money that I want to make a week, and that covers your expenses, and you're able to go home and spend time with your family and then do it all over again, that works that works perfectly well. But
Right.
with the market that we have nowadays, right now, it's you got to get out here, and you got, unless if you know somebody or you're in there and you got connections, you're gonna have to put a little legwork in to get the same amount of results that you probably would have gotten 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I'll say this: we've got a friend. Well, I've got a friend. He came over here and he tried. I don't totally understand that one comment, but if this is what he was saying, I got a friend came over here and I still help him right now. He's been here, I don't know, since December. Um, he wanted to run 2 weeks out and 1 week off, 2 weeks out and 1 week off. Now I can tell you from helping him manage his truck, you cannot do that. You
Not in
cannot
this
do
market.
that with an SFI truck. Now, if you've got a older truck that either's paid for, or maybe you have a $1,200 a month payment, you might can do that. But I always tell everybody, just remember, you might have a $1,200 a month truck, but you better be making a payment, another $2,000 a month payment to yourself, because that old truck you got's not going to last very long, and it's going to go down. It's going to cost you downtime. It's going to cost you money, and you better have some money stuck back. So there's no such thing as driving a truck without a payment. You may not owe the
So
bank, you may not owe SFI, but you better owe your banking account, because you better be piling that money up, because you're going to need it.
so this comment that highway trucker 1090, is that the comment you're talking about?
He said something about he wanted 2 weeks and pay his house and whatever
Oh,
his
okay,
truck.
not that comment. So a highway trucker made a comment. I wanted to go over this. He'd rather run 2,000 to 3,000 miles a week and be home on Friday or Saturday. So with that being said, I'm not saying you can't do that, but it kind of fits what Chris was just talking about. Running 2,000 to 3,000 miles with what we do, in order to make the money that we make, you just about have to run 3,000 miles plus. If you want to make less money than what we make, then yeah, I mean, you could probably run 2,000 to 3,000 miles. Don't you agree, Chris? I mean, we got to run what
Well,
we run in order to get paid.
I run 3,800 miles a week in 5 days. I run it all the time. Now I'm trying to cut back. I mean, I'm trying to get back down to 3,000 miles a week, and we're quoting empty and loaded. I'd like to get back down to 3,000. I mean, obviously, I'd love to get 2,500, but I have a threshold, and I don't mind telling you. I'll just tell you, I want to clear a minimum of $2,500 a week every week. After all expenses, I want to pay taxes on 2,500 a week. For me to do that, I've not been able to do that for less than 5,000. I've not been able to do that for less than 3,000 miles, because the market's just so bad, guys. It's so
Yeah.
bad. I know y'all get tired of hearing that, but it's awful. It's awful.
So, couple comments here. Ted Hill says it has to get better. I don't see it how it could get much worse. Austin Tanner wants to know, how hard is it to switch trucks at SFI? That's almost impossible, to be honest with you. I know Chris has looked into it.
$500 if you go to a good company.
No, switch trucks. He wants to get a different truck.
Oh, well, they begged me to do it for 2 months, and then I wouldn't do it. And when I finally agreed, then it's like, oh, we changed our mind. So that kind of
Austin
ticked me off.
he just got his truck. Pretty much
they're
right
not
after
gonna
we
they're
did.
not gonna switch
Yeah.
with you. Yeah, they're not gonna
So
switch with you.
Unless if it's
Country-
in their favor, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Country says it just comes down to what you individually need to feel comfortable with, regardless of that number. If it's good for you, then it's good. And I agree. Wife says she's happy. Austin Tanner again says, I have no problems being out 4 weeks or more if needed, but would like to get a week or two out with a 34 reset. So here's the thing with that being said, with what we do, Austin, and I know you commented, you said you wanted to to get on board with what we're doing. So the thing is, whether you do a 34 at home or whether you do a 34 out, doesn't make a difference. You have to get a 34 in. I know you live in Tallahassee. I live on the East Coast. Life on 18 Wheels, he runs a different carrier, but he lives in Orlando. You living in Tallahassee isn't that big of a difference from where I live to where we can get you home. It just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to not do a 34 at the house if you're able to. You going out for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, you're not going to make any more money than what we're making because you still have to do a 34-hour reset. You can stay out if you want to get away from home for whatever the reason is. But it ain't gonna. I'm starting to lose my voice. You're not gonna make any more money than what we do because of the way we run.
And we get so we have Florida freight going. We have Florida freight going in. We don't have Florida freight coming out. But we get when we go to Florida. When we go into Florida, we get somewhere around 288 a mile, 288 a mile. I forget now going in. So what I mean by that is you can afford to deadhead back out to Tallahassee and go home, and then when you come out of Tallahassee, we're going to go to Georgia and reload. That's how that works.
Yep. So Jose put a thing in here. Teach me how to do. That is my go. 2,500 after expenses. Like I said, Jose, call me tomorrow, man. I'll put you on board and I'll help you save some money. Jason Bryant said, I'm running about 2,800 miles a week now. Houston, Texas, round trip from Fort Wayne. Yeah, I remember you telling me that. You're on a pretty decent deal from what you were talking about. Life on 18 Wheels, again, put his YouTube channel out. Go join it. Subscribe. Watch his videos. He's got I don't want to say it's a new channel. You've had it for a while, but he's trying to build it up. So get in there and like it. Ted Hill, you have a new subscriber, Life on 18 Wheels. So Ted just subscribed to you.
I appreciate
James.
that.
James, let me force you to do this because you don't like to do it, and I understand. I understand why you don't because the last thing you want to do is for people to think you're bragging. So I'm just going to tell on you, okay? I won't tell Nat, but I will tell. I won't tell your Nat, but I'll tell what their Nat would be. So James is booked this week. If nothing falls through, James is booked on about $6,300 this week. Okay, when you have an SFI truck, your expenses in James. This is another reason James can't tell his net and his numbers because he does crap the rest of us don't do. He sets aside money for this and he sets aside money for that he doesn't have to do. He just chooses to do that. But if you came over here and you didn't do the stuff James does and you didn't have this big health insurance policy for the family and all this other stuff, on $6,300, James would take home about $3,300 this week. It cost about $3,000 a week in fixed cost and variable cost. So James would be taking home $3,300 this week if he didn't have all that extra stuff that he does. There you go. Y'all always fussing because James won't give you no numbers. I just gave you his numbers for this week. There you go.
All right.
You can kill me later, James.
No, I don't care. I just don't really go over my net numbers. I don't care. I mean, I would go over them, but when I start going over net numbers, people give you stupid comments like, "There's no way you're making that. There's no way you're making that."
Well, always a hater in the building.
Oh, there's always haters, and then there's guys. Well, that's not enough money. That's not enough money. You're not making,
I can make that, man. Company truck.
Yeah, I'm a super trucker, and I can make $3,000 a week. Doing this. So you always have your people, and that's why I just, again, I don't really like going over numbers because everybody always has a stupid comment to say. And I've tried to be honest with everything. I don't hide anything, and that's the whole purpose of my channels, for people to get in here and to hope to get some true answers and some true numbers on stuff.
Well, everybody wants numbers, and I know this from all my buddies at Prime, and I have several. If you'll put out numbers videos every week, your channel will grow by leaps and bounds. You'll have more views. You'll have more subscribers. You want to grow a channel, that's how you do it. You put out numbers. But here's what I've also watched them do. when you put out numbers, half the people don't believe what you told them. They don't believe the numbers, and then the other half's like, well, I'd be ashamed to show that. My God, I'm making 3 times that. And so
Yep.
why do you want to put
It's
yourself through
always
that abuse?
somebody,
Yeah,
It's
why do you want to
it's
deal?
always
Nobody
somebody.
wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with that.
Well, guys, we're coming up to 2 hours. If anybody has any questions or any comments, post them down. The wife says Mama's happy with that week. I'm sure she is. Um,
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Life on 18 Wheels. You got any final comments or anything you want to say?
You know, I just want to mention, because I know a lot of people are asking about the SFI stuff and whatnot, and I just want to reiterate that when you're looking into doing leasing or just anything in general in life, is that you need to know exactly what you're getting into. Just because it's easy to get into it, just because you put a little bit of money down just to get into that spot, you also have to remember what's going on around you and how those things will affect you. And my biggest thing at the end of the day is, what is your goal? What are you planning on doing? Why are you doing what it is that you're doing?
Well, I agree.
Yeah, everybody's got to
Poppy?
have a purpose. Everybody's got to have a purpose, and sometimes your goals and your purpose varies based on your age, based on where you are in life. Do you have a family? Are you single? Do you have $1,100 a month car payment? Do you have a $300 a month car payment? Do you have no
Wait,
car payment?
who has an
All that stuff
$1,100
matters.
month car payment?
Mine's 1156. You got a problem
What
with
kind
that?
of car do you have? What kind of car do you have?
I got a Jeep Grand Cherokee 2022.
Shoot.
Say, hey, we're being funny, but let me make a point. Okay, this is why we don't talk numbers. Okay,
Oh, so yeah,
most people went and bought a car. They would finance it for 72 months, 80 months. Okay, you pay a crap load of interest when you do that. I don't do that. Okay, I don't finance my cars that way. It's just like they claim SFI trucks high. Okay, well, if I was paying for a 6-year truck note what I'm paying for a 3, my numbers would look better, and everybody wouldn't be so upset about my numbers being high, right?
absolutely.
But my truck's set up on 3 years. Well, guess what? My car's set up on 3 years. So there you go. Yeah. So
Yep.
what works for one in 18's point to all that was, what works for one person don't work for another. You know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so that's why we don't go into numbers every single week, is because it's just like I don't do what James does. James sets aside a certain amount of money every week for when he wants to take off. That's fine. I'm not knocking him for it. I just don't do that. I have a different way of doing things. That don't mean I'm right and James is wrong, or James is right and I'm wrong. We just don't do things the same way.
All right.
You know.
So some comments came up. Jose said he agrees. And again, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, Jose. Ted Hill says he wants to thank the three of us for doing these lives. He really enjoys it. Keep up the great work, and God bless. And we appreciate you coming in, Ted. Let's see here. So Gerard made a great comment here, and I know we're trying to get off here, but this is a great comment. And to answer your question, well, first of all, let's read the question. What to do after you complete the 3-year lease? So to answer that question in so many words, I mean, you got multiple avenues. Once you complete the lease, and again, I'm understanding and thinking that maybe you're going to buy out the truck with the balloon payment, because that's what my goal is to buy the truck outright with the balloon payment. Once you have ownership of the truck, I mean, it's just like having a CDL license after a year. They always say if you have a CDL license for a year, you can go anywhere, you can do anything. And it doesn't matter. You can be hired within a week. If you have a paid off truck, or you have a truck that's financed, that's in your name, and you've completed your lease, doors open. I mean, you can stay here, keep doing what we're doing. Right now, what we're doing works. I can't say that it's going to work in 3 years, but right now it's working great. And I can't tell you that we'll be here in 6 months from now, but right now what we're doing is working for us. 3 years from now, when the truck is paid off or I get it financed to where it's close to being paid off, who knows? Don't really have a good answer. And honestly, I don't think either one of you two have an answer for that either, because we're all going to be right there about the same time period.
Well, I do have, because I
Always
came here with a goal of paying the balloon payment, owning, and I got the money to do it. I will have the money to do it. God willing, and nothing goes totally crazy. But my goal was to pay my truck off after 36 months. I figured I'd have about 300,000 miles on it, and then I could run it a couple years with it still under warranty, payment free, and save all my money. That was my goal. Well, as soon as I came here, the economy took a crap, and the freight market took a crap. And so in order to make that number that I wanted to make that we all talk about, I had to run a lot harder than what I wanted to run. So now, at the end of my 3 years, this truck's going to be high mileage. I don't want to own this truck no more. I don't want to own a truck with no warranty. So I'm going to be forced now to get another new truck and try to keep the miles down on it. But here again, freight market's like the economy. It goes up and it goes down, and it goes up and it goes down. It'll come back again, and we'll be able to make what we're making now, running 1,000 miles or less per week. And when that happens, then I'll go back to the goal of trying to own a truck. Hopefully, James just got his truck a few months, pretty recently, and I think 18 did too, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Right. So I have hopes. Look, guys, there's nothing wrong with hoping, right? I have hopes that this election's going to fix some things in November, and if I'm right, and it does, hopefully James and 18 won't have to run the miles up on their truck like I did. So they may want to buy theirs out.
See, I'm not too concerned about miles because I got the truck with 0 miles on it. If I got a used truck, then I'd be a little bit more concerned because I don't know the history of the truck. Now with a truck like this, it doesn't really matter how many miles I run with it. I know how the truck operates. It's been with me since day one, and I'm a little bit more mechanically inclined to take care of certain things that some people would just be like, well, it's too much for me. I'll just take it to the shop. So mileage not as of right now with this truck, mileage is not my biggest issue. I could run this thing and make 400,000 or 500,000 miles in 3 years. Not impossible, but I'm not gonna do that anyways. But it wouldn't bother me none because I put all those miles on there. However, I always have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, plan E, and a plan F. So I always figure out, okay, well, if this doesn't work, what do I do this? If the economy turns to this, what do I do then? If I look at it and see that I'm paying too much for a truck, and we have used trucks at like $200,000-$300,000, and I can cut my payments in half, would I be able to? Would I think about exercising those options? Those are all things that I think about when it comes to having a truck, because having a truck is nice, but I'm out here to make money and run a business. So
yeah.
All right, guys, more comments have come up. So Gerard, I hope I answered your question that you had about what our plans are afterwards. Derek says, and I haven't seen his name before, so he's new too. SFI has me jumping through hoops to get a truck. Any other lease company's easier to get into. So, Derek, I left you my email address. Why don't you give me a call tomorrow? Let me see if I can help you out with something on that. And Nicole says, I agree with Ted. Thank you. They have good advice and energy, honest drivers, and not bad looking. Ted Hill replied back.
Nicole, you need to get Nicole some new glasses or something. I don't know what the problem is with that.
She got new glasses. Hey, she got new glasses today. So that matter of fact. So Ted Hill responded, said, Nicole, I'll let you decide on the good looking part, but I agree with the rest of it. what you
Yeah.
said.
Nicole, you might need a new eye doctor, honey. I'm sorry.
So Jason
We all
Bryant
know
said,
who
"Oh,
I'm
and
talking
fellas, my wife is the branch manager at the bank." That's
Hmm.
funny. All right, I guess we're done with the comments. I got to tell you guys, I think this live went pretty well. We honestly, we might have to really seriously think about doing maybe more of these during the week, maybe 2 a week, kind of like what some other people have done. I don't know what days we would do, maybe Monday and Thursday or something like that. Maybe we might have to.
We can
I don't
look
know,
at
man.
it.
And we're going to have to do something because I feel really good about this live. I think we had a lot of good comments. A lot of good people came in, and we got about 4 or 5 new viewers. I say viewers that commented anyways, but we were up to 31 viewers at one time. You know, I kind of watched that. And again, push the like button, guys. That helps get this video out a little bit better too. So we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think we're going to go ahead and end it.
Yeah, if I don't get off here, I'm gonna need a divorce lawyer because I got to go
Well,
to bed, and I better call Mama before I do.
I'm gonna be having to go to bed too. I'm gonna be rolling about 2 in the morning. So everybody have a good night. Anybody I told to have call me tomorrow, and I'll be running from about 8 o'clock in the morning on. So anybody wants to send me an email, I'll call them up when I get up.
Yeah,
All
y'all
right, guys.
stay safe and don't run into nothing. That's how you lose your CDLs. That's how you lose your contract. Let's don't be running into nothing.
Y'all good, 18 wheels?
I'm all good. Just keep the shiny side up and the rubber on the
That's
road.
right. That's right. Y'all be good. Get you some rest. We'll talk tomorrow. See y'all.
All right, guys. Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.